Good morning and welcome to the Eno River Unitarian Universalist Fellowship on the ancestral lands of the Eno, Sapori, Sissipaha, Shakori, and Lumbee people here in Durham, North Carolina. I'm Reverend Jacqueline Brett, and whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever your race, your gender, whomever you love, and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, we welcome you here in beloved community. And if you are visiting with us for the first or second time, or if you are new to ERUF and maybe you've joined over the last 2 years and you are only here for the first or second time, we would love it if you would rise in body or spirit so that we can give you an ERUF welcome. Yes. So wonderful to you. Thank you for choosing to spend your Sunday morning with us. And if you are watching us on live stream, we invite you to write your name in the chat box right now, and you will also get a wonderful ERUF welcome for those of you who are watching this service virtually. So we, have lots that's going on here, and if you are a visitor, we invite you to our Inquirers classes for visitors and newcomers that occur on Sunday mornings. Now they're multi-platform. They are live here on campus in the Commons Room as well as online. They take place at 9:30 a.m. on Sunday mornings. We also have religious education classes for our children at the same time as well. And those classes take place at 9:30 in the building next door, the Cayer building. Next week, we want to who is a member know, and if you're not a member, you could also come. The board is hosting a finance forum. We're presenting the budget that will come up for the annual meeting, which is taking place this year on May 22nd. Take note of that. But there will be a finance forum after the service next Sunday in the fellowship halls. So for those of you who are interested in those numbers and what we're doing with the pledge that so many of you so wonderfully participated in, you'll get to find out more about that next week. It's so wonderful to gaze upon you in the flesh. And this is my first time being here after being out ill. So it's just wonderful to see all of you. Now would be a great time to put your devices on vibrate or worship mode, as we like to say. And just a reminder that as you are sitting out in the pews, that we ask that you keep your masks on, and especially when we are singing together, that you keep your masks on and that they're above your nose as well, so that we can keep each other healthy in this indoor space. And when we're outside, we say that masks are welcome. You can do whatever you feel most comfortable with, either wear a mask or not. Today's service is being led by Reverend Deborah Cayer. If you need a mask, there's some outside. I see somebody who needs a mask. We have some available. Yes. This morning's service is being led by Reverend Deborah Cayer. Our tech team are Sean Trimble, Jenny Jolly, and Kathy Valenti is on sound. Kathy is also one of our relatively new members, and she is now running the soundboard. Yes. Our music this morning is by ERUFians, both here in person as well as on video, with Kate, as usual, on the piano, and Claudia is our cantor this morning. So let us get ready for worship, and so let's center ourselves into this time, into this space, into this now. And let's all together take a deep breath in. And let it out. And we shall begin worship.
I'm living in the moment. In my life, I'm letting it happen. And now I'm on. And there I go. That tune has made me strong. Where I'm leaving I'm already home. Living in the moment.
Our opening words this morning are by the Reverend Leslie Takahashi, who writes, "Come, come, whoever you are, with your hurts, your imperfections, your places that feel raw and exposed. Come, come, whoever you are, with your strengths the world shudders to hold, with your wild imaginings of a better world, with your hopes that it seems no one wants to hear. We will make a place for you. We will build a home together. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come."
Come yet again to justice, to compassion, to community. We light our Unitarian Universalist chalice as a reminder that the light of our principles can guide us to love, to service, to a common good that becomes greater than the sum of its parts with every act that creates belonging. We're going to sing together. Claudia's going to lead us. The words will be on the screen. This is the words of the poet Rumi, "Come, come, whoever you are."
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Yet again, come. Please take a moment to greet your neighbor.
So friends, we have a story this morning. It's Drum Dream Girl by Margarita Engel and illustrated by Rafael Lopez. It'll appear on the screen.
Drum Dream Girl, How One Girl's Courage Changed Music. A poem by Margarita Engel, illustrations by Rafael Lopez. On an island of music, in a city of drum beats, the Drum Dream Girl dreamed. of pounding tall conga drums, tapping small bongo drums, and boom, boom, booming with long, loud sticks on big, round, silvery, moon-bright timbales. But everyone on the island of music in the city of drum beats believed that only boys should play drums. So the drum dream girl had to keep dreaming quiet, secret drum beat dreams. At outdoor cafes that looked like gardens, she heard drums played by men. But when she closed her eyes, she could also hear her own imaginary music. When she walked under wind-wavy palm trees in a flower-bright park, she heard the whir of parrot wings, the clack of woodpecker beaks, the dancing tap of her own footsteps, and the comforting pat of her own heartbeat. At carnivals, she listened to the rattling beat of towering dancers on stilts, and the dragon clang of costume drummers wearing huge masks. At home, her fingertips rolled out their own dreamy drum rhythm on tables and chairs. And even though everyone kept reminding her that girls on the island of music had never played drums, the brave drum dream girl dared to play tall conga drums, small bongo drums, and big, round, silvery, moon-bright timbales. Her hands seemed to fly as they rippled, rapped, and pounded all the rhythms of her drum dreams. Her big sisters were so excited that they invited her to join their new all-girl dance band. But their father said only boys should play drums. So the drum dream girl had to keep dreaming and drumming alone. Until finally her father offered to find a music teacher who could decide if her drums deserved to be heard. The drum dream girl's teacher was amazed. The girl knew so much, but he taught her more and more and more, and she practiced, and she practiced, and she practiced, until the teacher agreed that she was ready to play her small bongo drums outdoors at a starlit cafe that looked like a garden, where everyone who heard her dream-bright music sang and danced and decided that girls should always be allowed to play drums, and both girls and boys should feel free to dream. This poem was inspired by the childhood of a Chinese African-Cuban girl who broke Cuba's traditional taboo against female drummers. In 1932, at the age of 10, Milo Castro Zaldariaga performed with her older sisters as Ana Caona, Cuba's first all-girl dance band. Milo became a world-famous musician, playing alongside all the American jazz greats of the era. At age 15, she played her bongo drums at a New York birthday celebration for U.S. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, where she was enthusiastically cheered by First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. There are now many female drummers in Cuba. Thanks to Milo's courage, becoming a drummer is no longer an unattainable dream for girls on the island.
That was nice.
Good morning. I am Ann Verdine Jones, and I am the ambassador for our 2,500 Hours of Love initiative. So as you know, we are honoring Reverend Cayer's commitment to racial equity and justice during her 25 years of ministry with a gift of 25 hours of love. There was never a doubt that we would meet and even exceed that challenge. I should not be surprised that you have continued to spread love throughout the underserved communities in Durham and surrounding areas. As of last night, are you ready for this? As of last night, you have pledged 3,565 hours, and you are still pledging. Give yourselves a hand. Also, as of last night, you have logged 3,174 hours. That is up from 120 hours last week. So today's challenge, if you have any hours that you've completed but not yet logged, I'm going to challenge you today in this beautiful weather to sit on your porch or on your deck and log those remaining hours. We want to double last week's challenge, right? So let's try to get 240 hours logged this week. Can we do that? Awesome. So there is a hard-working committee, and it's led by Beth Harvett, that has worked tirelessly to make this gift a success. So now we want to hear from you. So there's going to be a 2,500 hours of love sharing and listening session, and it's going to be on Saturday, April 16th from 9:30 to 11:30. And it's going to be in the Commons room, but it is multi-platform. So you can join via Zoom or in person in the Commons room. You can sign up by looking at this past Friday's e-news. The link is there. Or you can go to 2,500 Hours of Love at eruf.org. We are in the home stretch. Let's continue to love, let's continue to log our hours, and let's finish strong.
I get like tickles inside when I think about this project and when I hear you speak. I'm so honored, and this is what we've done together. This has just been a beautiful, good thing. April is also Earth and Climate Justice Month here at ERUF, and our Earth Justice Action Team has been looking for messages to send to all of us for encouragement and to inspire our action and our own thoughts and investigation about what we can do for earth and climate justice. So this is a video that they found that they're sharing with us today. It's just to sow some seeds of possibility within and among us today. So here we are.
Every day, we follow the same endless cycle. We wake up, get ready, work, repeat. Wake up, work, repeat. We refuse to see the reality right in front of us, only going through life with our own priorities in mind, forgetting about the world around us. We are walking through other people's worst nightmares, yet we only seem to be paying attention to our own selfish dreams, living the lies that big corporations and politicians tell us so they don't have to deal with the mess they've made, fleeting the only earth we have of its very limited resources, greed fueling us to take more and more, but never giving back. We're all just marching towards the edge of a cliff. What happens when we reach the edge? But what if we wake up from the dreams and the lies we keep telling ourselves?
Our reading this morning is called God Says Yes to Me by Cayer. It was okay to be asked her if it was. She, there's some jokes people have been. I polish or wear nail polish, and she said me that sometimes. She said, "Do what you want to do." And even okay if I don't paragraph my letters. Sweet cakes, God said. Who knows where she picked that up? What I'm telling you is yes, yes, yes. I invite you to join with me for a moment of prayer. And we begin with a prayer by Tamara Labak. Holy One, who has given us the breath of life, today we remember to breathe deeply, to rest, to take in, to pause before we act, and then to take in another deep breath, poised on the edge and risk jumping in, risk taking action, risk speaking up, risk using the gifts we have been given so that at the end of our life, we can say with absolute clarity that no part of our existence was wasted in fear of failure or fear of success. Hold us. Prepare us the way to begin to offer the gift of our awakened presence, full of love and light today. We offer the fullness of our hearts and awakened prayers for the people of Ukraine, for the people of Russia, for Afghanistan, the people of Pakistan, Syria, Yemen, Ethiopia, South Sudan, Myanmar, and for all other people and places around the world impacted by the devastation of war and conflict. People impacted by the insecurity of homelessness and sudden refugee status. May we, the people, do what we can do to support those in need, and may the leaders of this world be infused with the heart and capacity to accomplish peace. We pray these prayers and offer prayers of our hearts for those among us who are celebrating joys and milestones, who are navigating illness or loss. We lift all these up now into silence. Amen, Ashe, and blessed be.
This April, our Soul Matters theme is awakening. There are a lot of directions that you can go with this, and we'll be doing that in our small groups, our covenant groups, our chalice circles, and in other services this month. But one thing that I keep coming back to is how closely awakening is tied to possibility, especially the concept of awakening to new ways of understanding. For instance, this is the very beginning of Ramadan, and Muslims around the world are fasting from sunrise to sunset. No food, no water either, unless you're ill, elderly, or pregnant. And everyone is expected to just keep to their usual routines and schedules and duties. This is a chance for an annual reset. Hunger and thirst tend to concentrate your attention. So right in the midst of regular routines, this is a 28-day opportunity because it's based on the cycle of the moon. It's a 28-day opportunity to practice intensively and to awaken yet again to what it means to be a good Muslim. I wonder, though, if Ramadan leads to a return to what's familiar about Islam, what's already known, or if this practice, is this practice a time and a way to awaken to new possibilities and new perspectives? I suspect it could be either, depending, or both, depending on the person. But if the practice is only to return to what's familiar, I would not be very good at it. And I suspect neither would you. Because one of the distinguishing features of Unitarian Universalist faith is that we are a people who continually ask why and why not. We ask this at every possible theological opportunity. For instance, Unitarians and Universalists have always been some of the very first to welcome conversations across religious differences. In the 1820s and 30s in this country, people here began to rediscover sacred Hindu, Confucian, and Buddhist texts. And our Unitarian ancestors, especially the Transcendentalists, embraced that opportunity. And then 70 years after that, Unitarians were among the core organizers of the 1893 Parliament of World Religions in Chicago. So 200 years ago, some of our spiritual ancestors were carefully considering the sacred wisdom in these texts, and they were comparing them to the wisdom that they had already found in the Christian and Hebrew texts. And they proposed, well, why not add this wisdom to our canon, our lectionary of sacred wisdom sources? And we've kept on asking why and why not. This is the reason that the sources of our religious tradition are broad and inclusive, as you can see if you leaf through the readings in the back of the hymn book. Because there you'll find not only the wisdom of major world religions, but also the wisdom of historic people, Frederick Douglass and Black Elk, and also the wisdom of contemporary poets and contemporary justice leaders, Mary Oliver, Anita Dove, Alice Walker. We've also continually questioned justice issues. In the 1800s, we asked, why don't animals have the right to humane treatment? Why don't children have the right to be safe? How can it possibly be okay to enslave anybody? Why don't women have the right to vote? Tell me that one again. What? And then later we asked about the civil and human rights of broad groups of people, laborers, immigrants, indigenous people, LGBTQ people. It was an imperfect effort. I will claim that, and I will acknowledge that. And we're still working on it. But along the way, as a collective movement, we also started asking questions about the rights of the earth and the environment too. Other people besides Unitarian Universalists, for sure, also ask these questions. But the point is, asking why and why not is an essential part of our spiritual DNA. And the circle of our faith gets wider every time we push the boundaries a little bit on those questions. And yet, at the same time, we are totally human, and we have the stunning ability that all humans have to be absolutely unaware of what we're in the middle of. We can be heartbreakingly closed-minded, sometimes not even aware that we're doing that. What comes to mind for me now is how unconscious white people are about what it actually means to be white, and how challenging it can be to wake up to the lies that we've all been taught about history and about power. Awakening to these lies is at the heart of our anti-racism, racial equity, and inclusion work here in this congregation. But awakening to our shortcomings, our human shortcomings, can also apply to other areas of life that all people of all races and backgrounds more universally experience. Here's how one Unitarian Universalist from a congregation in Pennsylvania put it. I don't know who this is, so this is anonymous at this time. They said, "When I think of possibility, I think of all the people and opportunities we close the door on, such as, I'll never see eye to eye with my sister, or I couldn't possibly leave this job to start my own business, or I'll never have close friends like I had where I used to live, or I'll never really make a difference, so why bother? Or Unitarian Universalism will always be a small religion." We tell ourselves so many small things about who we are and who others are, and we know that it's not really because we're pessimistic. More often than not, it's about protecting ourselves. There's comfort in convincing yourself that the work is hopeless. That way you don't have to try and figure out and failure and risk failure or hurt or disappointment ever again. Unquote. What awakening would we have to have before we could open the door to a larger life? For starters, we might listen for the words always and never. Because the door to a larger life very rarely has always and never on those doors, right? Also, maybe it's not only about opening yet another door to make ourselves more open. James Luther Adams once said that liberal religious people are remarkably, admirably open to new possibilities, but that sometimes we're so open that we're open on both ends, and that we're not able to hold on to things that really matter when we do that. Adams believed it's our covenantal promises to each other that help make a container, something that can hold our potential strength and our power while we figure out good ways to use our power for the common good. That anonymous person from the congregation in Pennsylvania points out some additional things that are also important. They say, maybe being a people of possibility has more to do with being a people of vulnerability and a people of courage than we have thought. The work isn't just about believing in possibility. It's about being willing to endure a few wounds along the way. It can be hurtful to be hopeful, and we need to make room for that. It can be hurtful to be hopeful. While our intention and our will are both incredibly powerful, in order to truly tap into this power, we have to awaken to the pain of our vulnerability, to the painful reality that we might not be able to have what it is that we are so yearning for. And at times, to give up on that can be so devastating. And yet, if we pay attention, when we're willing to wake up to truth, no matter how devastating, it can help us grow. Yesterday in the spiritual practices class, we talked about Ignatius of Loyola's spiritual practice of examine, which is a Latin word that simply means to examine or review the events of your day. The practice is simple. At the end of the day, you find a time to get quiet and you invite the holy or your whole self to be present. And then you bring to mind the times in the day that brought good feelings of being connected and whole and happy. And you hold on to those and you name those. Ignatius called these times of consolation. And then set that aside and remember times in the day when you might have felt disconnected, depleted, isolated, even devastated, lonely. Ignatius called these times of desolation. And he knew that we experience both. If we pay attention, we're experiencing both of those things constantly throughout our day. He thought that if we practiced examining our lives at the end of the day, it's the most powerful spiritual practice that anyone could ever do. And here's why. In the mid-1500s, when he lived, this is what he wrote. He said, "It is wisely said, experience is the best teacher. The primary and most obvious reason for this is that revelation is not over. God is constantly revealing himself to us in our experience. Of course, the Bible is divine revelation. No one denies that. But so is life. It is precisely because God is present to life and available to human experience that we have a divinely inspired story to tell. And that story, once told, is revelation." Unquote. So, to understand how radical it was for Ignatius to claim that God speaks directly to us through our experience, we can discern that meaning over time. It helps to understand a few things. One, Ignatius was writing during the Inquisition, kind of a risky time to be talking about new locations for revelation. And yet, here he makes the claim that not just the Bible or Jesus or God talking from a whirlwind are sources of divine revelation. He says that revelation isn't just something that happened once long ago and then God stopped speaking. He claims that revelation of God's hopes and dreams for the world continues through each one of us, through our stories, through the meaning that we make out of it, through the choices that we make. This thought was current among some people at that time, and it has become one of the enduring concepts in all of liberal religion, including our own. James Luther Adams' first smooth stone of the 5 smooth stones of our faith is revelation is continuous. Ignatius also believed that God wants humans to be happy. And he reasoned that we could figure out God's hopes and dreams for the future by paying attention to what brings us feelings of happiness and wholeness and what doesn't. And we can figure out what to choose if we pay attention over time, if we notice regularly each day the things that make us feel happy and whole, and then if we make conscious choices to do more of those things. So this concept of steering our lives by happiness and holiness, it's a phrase. It's another liberal religious enduring concept, and it's actually made its way into secular thinking as well. I think this examine practice can work even if you're not a theist, and if you take God out of the process. You can notice what choices you make with your full self, your whole self, your higher self, some might say, and then just notice what results from that. And check it out with others, especially people who don't understand the world exactly like you. And when you're a little more sure, choose to do more of the kind of things that bring you feelings of wholeness and joy, that add to the deep goodness and the peace of the whole community. Whether you're theist or atheist, what makes this work is the practice of time and again coming back to face the truth of your experience and waking up to how that makes you feel. That's what's essential about this practice. It's facing the truth. As we all know from experience, we don't want to always know the truth about ourselves. The stories we tell ourselves are so much more noble, so much a better fit with our curated image. Would I post this on Instagram or not? It takes courage to sit down and come to terms with what's behind the ideal image that we cast forth. It takes courage to come to terms with what's really real. And so, because we're able to resist this so much, and because we're able to fool ourselves, it's really important that we actually do this with other people, that we practice this in community, because waking up to what's ultimate and real, and not just to make the more shallow parts of ourselves happy, that can be a real challenge. Can also be a fearful thing to do, because so often we're afraid of what we'll find when we do this kind of radical truth-telling. It really does take gathering up your courage sometimes to turn around and face what's really there. And in those times when we're so afraid, we forget that it's the truth that brings light. It's the truth that brings clarity and power. And that we can use our power, our freedom, to choose how we're going to respond. That's what another part of our faith is that the power to choose is in that moment, those ultimate moments. So telling ourselves the truth grounds us, and it puts us in touch with our most authentic self. And this is the best possible way that we can create the big, juicy life that is not too small for us. This is also the best possible way we can be in relationship with ourselves, with other people, with the sacred, with God. Sheila Lin, who teaches spiritual practices, also notes that not telling ourselves the truth is the root of all codependencies and addictions. She quotes Ann Wilson Schaaf, who said, "Even the smallest lie can plunge us back into our disease." That's how important the truth is. Lynn writes, "In other words, distorting the truth of who I am in any way is like an alcoholic taking that first drink. I need the examen each day because it helps me get better at telling the truth about who I am and what I need." Unquote. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel once said, "All real living is meeting." All real living is meeting. He didn't mean casual interactions, hey, how you doing? He meant that life's most real moments come when one awakened individual who's willing to face the truth and know the truth about themselves and their situation meets another awakened individual. When this happens, both people are in contact with a source of divine goodness that is infinitely powerful. And that power needs us to be awake so it can get into the world through our choices, through our actions. Awake human beings are integral to how all of this works. This can be a little challenging in a multicultural world where we have to figure out how to meet each other, not despite our differences, but with all our beautiful, complex differences. We have to welcome them. And we have a much better chance of succeeding if we're a whole person who's willing to respectfully meet and interact with other whole people. Or at least we have to be willing to be working on it. And to trust and forgive because other people are working on it too. We are works in progress. We don't always get it right. We have to turn around, say we're sorry, and begin again with love. It's worth it. It is so worth it. Because when we're awake to our authentic experience as it truly is, not as we wish it to be, we're able to get past the choices that lead to desolation, despair, and loneliness more often. And when we awaken to that possibility, and when we say yes to it, not only do we get to have a big, juicy life for ourselves, we also get to be part of those whose small choices help to reconstitute the goodness of the world, moment by moment, all day long. Small, little things, they matter. So today, friends, just today, may we awaken to the possibilities that are rooted in goodness and truth and love. The choices and possibilities that lead to a big, juicy life that allow us to serve the common good. May it ever be so. Blessed be. Amen. So, every week we pass the plates. It's a symbol of our willingness to put ourselves out there. It's a symbol of our willingness to give of our gifts to help create the common good. There's also an option I just want to point out, because, I just want to point out, if you have a smartphone, you can go on your smartphone, you can smile at the plates and put in a prayer. You could actually make a contribution online on your phone if you wanted. Some of us don't carry cash anymore, right? So, let's pass the plates, put in a smile, a blessing, some good hope for the world, and at this time, we'll contemplate the goodness that circulates because we choose the greater good. We give thanks for all the gifts that life has bestowed upon us, that lead us to feelings of happiness, of joy, of connection, of possibility, of hope. We give thanks. Our final hymn this morning is 354, We Laugh, We Cry. Claudia will lead us. The words will be on the screen. You may even have to dance. I don't know. I do.
We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need close friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give. We have our thoughts to receive. And we believe that sharing is an answer. Our lives are full of wonder and our time is very short, brief. The death of one among us fills us all with pain and grief. But as we live, so shall we die, and when our lives are done, the memories we shared with friends, they will linger on and on. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a place to be together. We have the right to grow. We have the gift to believe that peace within our living is an answer.
Our closing words this morning are from Muhammad Ali. He said, "Impossible is just a big word thrown around by small people who find it easier to live in the world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration, it's a dare. Impossible is potential. Impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing." Friends, today, listen for what's possible. Pick it up. Carry it in your heart, your wide awake heart, with you into your work, your week, your life. This is how we change the world. May it be so. Let's go.